Hello, I'm Valentin Mandaci, the architecture historian, and I would like to discuss the vernacular architecture of southeastern Romania. More precisely, of a large playing field in this part of the country called the Baragan steppe or the Baragan Prairie. It's part of the steppe systems of the Black Sea area, around the Black Sea area, and its relief, landscape, and climate, way of life of people living there is very similar with the rest of the northern Black Sea area, like places which are now in Ukraine, for example, where in the old times used to be called the New Russia, Novaya Russia, for example. They are the granary, used to be the granary of Europe, very propitious area for growing wheat and maize, for example, and even today they are very important in that aspect. What about the architecture? The architecture of people living there, from the peasants of the villages, is a very interesting example of synthesis between north and south, because to the north we have the mountains, we have the Carpathians, the Transylvanian Alps, which on the southern slopes are populated by ethnic Romanian villages, and on the other side, on the northern slopes, we have a ethnic mix between Romanian, but quite a lot of Hungarian villages, especially for the subgroup, Hungarian subgroup named the Szeklers. Today they are particular in speaking a kind of more let's say, ancestral Hungarian, although it's very similar with the literary Hungarian, but also of being Catholics, comparing with the other Hungarians of Transylvania, which are Protestants or Calvinists in majority. So we have this influence of the Romanians, who themselves were influenced by the Szeklers from the other side of the mountains, and also the influence of the Ottoman Empire or the Ottoman environment, which was the one close at hand in a way of the Balkans, of the northern Balkans. And the core of the Ottoman Empire in the Balkans wasn't Romania or Wallachia. This was a frontier province over here. It was what is now Bulgaria. So the houses in Bulgaria, in places like Trnovo, for example, Veliko Trnovo, or Plovdiv, those are classical areas with Bulgarian Ottoman architecture, which usually is called the Bulgarian Renaissance houses. They influenced again Wallachia, this part of Romania, the southeastern part of Romania. And the 18th century sees a synthesis between the house type from the north, from the Transylvanian Alps, which has a lot of Hungarian Szekler influence, and the ones from the south, from Bulgaria, the Ottoman type of houses. So basically it's an extraordinarily interesting synthesis in the Baragan steppe. And why do I said a few times the 18th century? It's because that is the first century when we have real peace in the Baragan steppe, in this prairie. It's an open area which is open to incursions from the northeast, from what is now Ukraine or Russia, or from the south, from the proper Ottoman Empire. So the area was secure when the Ottoman Empire became stable, and that is at the end of the 17th century, beginning of the 18th century. After the peace of Karlovitz and Passarovitz, which heralded in their turn the tulip period in the Ottoman Empire, stability and prosperity. And in Wallachia was the Wallachian style, which is the interpretation of the local forms of architecture, the ones from the towns, for example, the palaces, the mansions of the aristocratic class and the churches, but also at the level of the peasantry, of people living in the village or the poorer strata of the towns. Let's talk about this synthesis of two housing types, two architectural types, from the north, from Transylvania, and from the south, from what is now Bulgaria. In the north, the in the Carpathians, Transylvanian Alps, both the Hungarians and Romanians are having a similar type of housing. It's basically a house with 2 rooms, an entrance hall and a bedroom and an attached veranda, short attached veranda. And variation on this theme in a way, larger or smaller kind of house, depending on the stability of the area and the prosperity of that household. That type of house, you find it in southern Romania, in the Baragan Prairie, in southeast Romania. But with these Bulgarian or Ottoman additions, like for example in the ornamentics, you can see in the doors, wood carving, woodwork of the doors or the ceiling of the houses, they're having very elaborated and sometimes interesting motifs, like the sun with radiating sun, tulips, for example, which is a bit of an Ottoman motif, but also a Szekler one, a Hungarian one from the north. These things are encountered mostly in what is now Bulgaria, but this is the direct influence in that time of the Ottoman peace. And another interesting Ottoman influence is the way how they prepared food and they ate food, for example, is the Ottoman kitchen. To give you an idea what is an Ottoman kitchen, probably many of you have visited the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul and you visited the kitchens of the Sultan. And basically you had a large room where they boiled cauldrons for the food, fried meat and everything, and all of this steam and smoke was going up into the room in a kind of a funnel, like a chimney stack, like a funnel going like that at an open, circular open roof above. That facilitated the circulation, the draft of the air and the cleaning it of steam and smoke. These houses, peasant houses in southeastern Romania, the Baragan Prairie, many of them are having this type of kitchen. Of course at a smaller scale, but it's having this kind of funnel shape with a large open area into the roof, largest for their house of course, and the food was prepared on the ground there. The smoke and the steam was circulated upstream and taken out into the open above the house. Of course, if you go and visit the villages, it's hard to see the kitchens because probably not many people would invite you to see them, but it's easy to spot them if you go around and you look at the houses. Usually they have just one chimney stack, and that is in the middle of the roof. That is a giveaway for a Turkish kitchen. So I wanted to point out this interesting aspect of influences from Transylvania, from the Ottoman Empire, and how the Baragan Prairie has been like a kind of petri dish, like a kind of boiling cauldron of types from both north and south, and that is it tallies itself with the local conditions. The population in the southeastern Romania usually comes from the Transylvanian Alps. They came slowly and occupied the plains as they became safer, especially in the 18th century. But the polity in which they found themselves was the Ottoman polity, which had its own kind of decorative register, like those Bulgarian houses, Bulgarian Renaissance houses, and way of life, kitchen, for example, the Ottoman kitchen. And a synthesis like this has happened. It's nothing written about it because most of the ethnographic studies in the regions are having this Romanian nationalist slant, and basically they just lose the bigger picture. They are good in collecting photographs, making sketches, but they don't know what they're talking about. They try everything to steer onto the nationalist kind of thing, which is a very modern idea. Doesn't have much to do with the historic reality on the ground. And we can see the reality in this kind of vernacular architecture. So I hope that you find interesting this aspect of the peasant architecture of southeastern Romania, an integral part of Central Europe, Northern Balkan Peninsula, and its interferences from all over the places. Thank you, and we'll see each other next time. Bye-bye.